Okay, so let's dive straight into something that's, well, everywhere right now, artificial intelligence.
Yeah, AI. It's unavoidable.
And specifically, we're going to take a real deep dive into what the UK is thinking, its big plans, its ambitions in this, global AI race.
Absolutely. There's so much happening, and trying to get a handle on the actual strategy, the vision, the plans, and the challenges, too, that's crucial if you want to see where the UK fits in.
Right. So our mission today really is to unpack all of that. We've got comments from people like Keir Starmer, Jensen Huang from Nvidia, insights from London Tech Week.
And we've also got the official government stuff, the AI Opportunities Action Plan, the AI Playbook.
Yeah, and some really important guidance on AI in schools, from the Department for Education, Ofsted, Ofqual. That feels critical.
It really does. So this deep dive, it's about getting past maybe the buzzwords and seeing the detail. What does the UK think its strengths are? What are the big hurdles, like skills?
Skills definitely comes up a lot.
Yeah. And how are they planning to actually build that talent pipeline
No.
from, government itself right down to the classroom?
Okay, so let's kick things off with London Tech Week then. Keir Starmer was there talking about AI. He seemed pretty convinced about its impact.
Oh, absolutely. He framed it as profoundly transformative, not just a small change, but something huge affecting pretty much everything.
Did he give examples?
Yeah, specific ones. Like in healthcare, he mentioned AI being used for like super fast stroke detection
Wow.
and AI stethoscopes that can predict heart issues, things that, genuinely save lives.
That's incredibly powerful stuff. He also mentioned defense, didn't he?
He did, pointed out that the Strategic Defense Review now has AI baked into it as a core part of future planning.
And what about like day-to-day government stuff?
Yeah, he had this interesting example, an AI tool called Extract. Apparently, it's used to digitize old handwritten planning documents.
Okay.
And he said it boosted the number they could process daily from just 5 to 100.
5 to 100. That's
Oh, yeah.
that's a huge jump.
It really is, and it kind of highlights the potential for efficiency gains right across public services if they can scale that up.
Yeah, you could see that. And I thought his framing of AI was quite striking. He didn't just call it a tool,
No, he called it infrastructure, like electricity or the internet.
which implies
Yeah,
massive investment needed.
exactly. That was the clear message. If the UK wants to benefit properly, it needs that kind of foundational national level investment, just like with previous infrastructures.
But he also tackled the challenges head on,
Yeah.
right? The skills issue.
Oh, yeah. He was very direct about that, called skills one of the biggest, if not the biggest, barrier to success here.
Which, as you said, seems to be a recurring theme.
It absolutely is. It crops up everywhere.
But he also had this interesting positive spin,
Yeah.
saying AI makes us more human. How did that work?
Well, his argument was by automating the boring, repetitive stuff, AI frees people up. It lets them focus on the parts of their jobs that need that human touch, empathy, creativity, connection.
Like the example of teachers.
Exactly. Less time marking papers, maybe more time actually inspiring students. It reframes AI as augmentation, not replacement.
Making us better humans, in a way.
That's the idea, helping us focus on what only humans can do.
And did they announce anything concrete on skills there?
They did. 7.5 million specifically for training people from different backgrounds in AI skills.
Okay, so showing it's not just for the tech wizards already in the field.
Precisely, trying to broaden that base.
What's really fascinating is then you look at someone like Jensen Huang, CEO of Nvidia, also at London Tech Week,
Yeah.
and his perspective from the heart of the tech industry seems to echo a lot of that. He had quite a phrase for the UK's position.
Oh, the Goldilocks circumstance, or singular. Yeah, that definitely caught my attention.
What did he mean by that? Why Goldilocks?
Well, his point was the UK has this unique combination. He talked about one of the richest AI research communities anywhere, packed with deep thinkers.
Universities, presumably.
Exactly. Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial College, he mentioned them by name. Plus, he pointed to really cool startups like Wave, 11 Labs, real innovation happening.
So for him, it starts with the people, the talent.
Definitely. He called the UK's AI researchers and entrepreneurs the country's most critical natural resource. Said they were the envy of the world. Strong words.
Very strong. But he connected talent to something else, didn't he? Something more physical.
Yes, crucially infrastructure. The compute power. His line was pretty blunt. You can't do machine learning without the machines.
Makes sense. You need the horsepower to train these big models.
Right. And his argument was that building powerful AI supercomputers here in the UK is essential. It doesn't just give researchers tools, it acts like a magnet.
Attracting more startups, keeping talent here.
Exactly that. It creates this environment where innovation can thrive, where the best work happens locally. It prevents brain drain, basically.
And is Nvidia backing that up with actual investment?
Seems so. He talked about Nvidia investing, setting up an AI lab here, partnerships to help developers skill up, and investing in that core AI infrastructure.
Trying to create a positive feedback loop.
Yeah, he called it a flywheel effect. Research leads to infrastructure, which helps startups, which drives more innovation, which attracts more talent, and round it goes.
It's really striking how both Starmer, the political leader, and Huang, the industry giant, land so firmly on the importance of talent.
It's the common thread, isn't it? The absolute shared vision. And both of them seemed really excited about getting young people involved early.
Training them in AI from a young age.
Yeah, recognizing that kids are, already interacting with this stuff. Naturally, it's a part of their world.
Which brings us to another of Huang's big ideas, the great equalizer. That sounds huge.
It does, yeah. His thinking is really interesting here. For years, he said, programming computers meant learning really complex languages like C++ or Python.
Which limits who can do it, right?
Yeah, massively. Maybe tens of millions worldwide have those deep coding skills. But now, with generative AI, the interface is changing.
How so?
The new programming language is human language, natural language.
So you just tell the AI what you want, in English or whatever language.
Pretty much. You describe the task, you give it context, maybe even a personality to adopt, and it can generate complex results. And almost everyone speaks a human language.
That dramatically lowers the barrier to entry, doesn't it?
Hugely. It potentially makes these incredibly powerful tools accessible to billions, not just millions, democratizes it in a way.
But wait, is it really that simple? Surely there's a skill in how you ask, in crafting the prompt.
Ah, yes. That's the nuance, isn't it? You're absolutely right. Just because the interface is language doesn't mean anyone can get good results instantly. Prompt engineering, knowing how to frame the request, how to give the right context, how to iterate. That becomes a new kind of skill.
A communication skill almost, but with a machine.
Sort of, yeah. And also critical thinking about the output. Does this make sense? Is it biased? Is it accurate?
So it shifts the required skill set. And that £7.5 million training fund Starmer mentioned, maybe that's partly about addressing these new kinds of skills across different levels?
Could well be. It suggests a recognition that AI skills aren't monolithic. You need different training for different people, different roles, different sizes of companies, including the smaller ones.
Okay, so beyond the big speeches at Tech Week, let's look at the broader government strategy. Those documents you mentioned, the action plan, the playbook. What do they say about building this talent pipeline?
Well, they definitely reinforce this focus. The action plan, for instance, sets a pretty ambitious target.
Which is?
To train tens of thousands of AI professionals by 2030.
Tens of thousands. That's a lot. How do they plan to get there? Is it just more university grads?
No, it's broader than that. That's quite clear. Yes, supporting universities to produce more AI grads is part of it. But they also talk explicitly about expanding other routes. Further education, apprenticeships, employer-led training, even self-directed learning and upskilling. It's about creating multiple pathways.
Recognizing that AI skills are needed everywhere, not just in dedicated AI research labs.
Exactly. Building a workforce that's adaptable. They also mention trying to attract top global talent to the UK as well, with things like flagship scholarship programs. Aiming high there.
And is the government practicing what it preaches? Looking at its own workforce?
Yes, the AI playbook actually goes into detail on upskilling the civil service. They're mapping out different learning needs.
Not just for the techies.
No, definitely not. They have categories like beginners needing basic literacy, what AI is, risks, opportunities, then technical roles, data specialists, digital people, building services, and importantly, leaders.
Leaders needing specific training. Why?
Because they need to understand how to foster an AI-ready culture, make strategic choices, and oversee deployment responsibly. It's about embedding it organizationally.
That makes sense. You need leadership buy-in and understanding. Are there resources for this?
Yeah, they mention free training via existing platforms like Civil Service Learning, Government Campus, the Digital Excellence Program. So trying to make it accessible internally.
Okay, this all points towards a major push on talent, starting young. Let's really zoom in now on AI in education.
Yeah.
It feels like such a critical and sensitive area. The Department for Education has specific guidance out.
It does, and they're clearly backing the main AI action plan. Their official line is that generative AI offers, quote, exciting opportunities for public services, and that includes education.
Exciting opportunities like what? What do they see AI doing in schools?
Two main things come through strongly. First, helping teachers personalize learning, tailoring content and pace to individual students more effectively.
Which is hard to do at scale normally.
Very hard. And second, and this could be huge, reducing teacher workload. Using AI to help with time-consuming tasks like lesson planning, creating resources, and marking.
Marking's a big one. Has that been tested? Can AI actually mark reliably?
Well, they mention a specific DFE pilot. They tested a tool combined generative AI and rules-based logic on Year 4 literacy work. They reported 92% accuracy, but that was when using appropriately coded data. So, promising, but with caveats about setup and data quality. It suggests potential, though.
And what about teaching the kids about AI? Preparing them for the future?
Yes, that's in there too. There's a plan to pilot a revised AI literacy curriculum. It's linked to the DFE's AI Skills Initiative. The goal is clearly stated: equip students for a tech-driven world.
Okay, opportunities noted, but schools. It's such a high-stakes environment.
Yeah.
What about the risks, the guardrails? What does the guidance say there?
This is where they get very clear and quite cautious. The absolute cornerstone is professional judgment, meaning AI tools are just that, tools. Aids. They cannot replace the teacher's expertise. The guidance stresses that the human teacher or staff member always remains responsible for the final output, its quality, its appropriateness.
So no blindly trusting the AI. The teacher owns it.
Absolutely. Non-negotiable. Another really big one is copyright.
Ah, yeah. How does that play out?
Well, student work is copyrighted. Lesson plans teachers create are copyrighted. Even the prompts you type into an AI could be. So schools need explicit permission, ideally written consent, before using, say, student essays to train an AI model.
That sounds like a significant hurdle if schools want to build bespoke tools using their own data.
It is, and there's another risk they flag: secondary infringement.
Which is?
Using an AI tool that was itself trained on copyrighted material it didn't have the license for. If a teacher uses such a tool to generate, say, a worksheet and then distributes it, the school could potentially be infringing copyright.
Wow, so schools really need to check the credentials of the AI tools they adopt.
They do. Due diligence is essential. It puts a real onus on procurement and vetting.
How are the regulators looking at this? Ofsted.
But the guidance reflects their positions. Ofsted, interestingly, uses AI itself for things like risk assessing schools before inspections. They say they support schools using AI, but only if it genuinely improves education or care, reduces workload, and is used responsibly.
And responsibly means?
It links back to their main principles: safety, transparency, fairness, accountability, contestability. And critically, like the DFE guidance, Ofsted insists staff must exercise professional judgment. They must be able to check, correct, and overrule the AI.
The human is always in charge.
Always. The decision rests with the person, not the machine. And standard complaints procedures apply if anyone has concerns about how AI is being used.
Right, and Ofqual, the exam regulator.
Their focus is slightly different. It's about awarding organizations, the exam boards. If they use AI, Ofqual needs to be sure it doesn't mess with fairness, standards, or public trust in qualifications. Maintaining the integrity of exams is paramount.
And all these specific education rules, they connect back to the broader AI principles from the playbook, presumably.
Exactly. Those core ideas: safety, security, transparency, fairness, accountability, human control. They run through everything. The message is clear. AI in education must be lawful, ethical, responsible, and always have that human oversight.
So if we try and connect all these different threads now, we've got the big vision from Starmer and Huang.
Yeah. AI as infrastructure, a massive opportunity.
The government's national strategy focusing heavily on infrastructure, adoption, and especially talent.
Acknowledging the UK's strength there, but also that big skills gap that needs plugging.
And then these really specific detailed plans and, importantly, the safety considerations for actually putting AI to work in a key area like education.
Addressing risks like copyright,
Yeah.
ensuring professional judgment, setting regulatory expectations.
It paints quite a consistent picture, doesn't it?
It does. A picture of AI is fundamental. A recognition of the talent base as a key asset, but also the skills challenge as a major barrier.
And a clear strategy emerging that developing talent, right from school age, is absolutely central.
alongside a very necessary, very detailed focus on doing it safely and ethically. Especially in schools, you have to get that right. Human control, accountability, those are paramount,
It's definitely a balancing act they're trying to strike, pushing forward with innovation.
while putting those crucial guardrails in place, particularly where it affects kids, learning, assessment.
Well, this has been a really thorough deep dive, pulling directly from what politicians, industry leaders, and government departments are actually saying and planning.
Yeah, we've covered that high-level enthusiasm, the national strategy nuts and bolts, and the cautious optimism around AI in schools.
Key takeaways seem to be AI is seen as essential infrastructure. UK talent is world-class, but the skills gap is real. Developing talent from school upwards is core strategy.
Yeah.
And ethics, safety, copyright, human oversight are non-negotiable, especially in education.
That sums it up pretty well. It's an ambitious agenda, but with a clear eye on the complexities.
Thank you for exploring all that with us today.
My pleasure. It's a fascinating area to track.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it leaves you with a thought, doesn't it? As these AI tools get better and more integrated into learning, into teaching, how does our definition of skilled or knowledgeable change? When a machine can retrieve facts instantly or write a decent essay, what literacies become truly important? It's about asking the right questions, critically evaluating the AI's output, knowing when not to use it. What skills will students and educators need most in this new world? Something definitely worth thinking about.